Cherish loves, and welcome to Entrepreneurship Now, the podcast where we talk about how to attract more aligned clients, how to build better systems, how to convert consistently and scale to meet our goals. I'm your host, LaShay LaRue, business development strategist and your coach for this season of growth. This is the podcast where we talk about how entrepreneurship looks now, not in the past, not in 5 years, but right now. And we like to tell the stories of incredible entrepreneurs. I have an amazing woman here today, a woman who I have admired for some time. I feel so blessed and thankful that she is joining me here today because she has an incredible story and a great amount of experience in the public relations world, which is something that not a lot of people know a lot about. So I want her to go ahead and introduce herself and tell everyone a little bit more about you.
Hi, LaShay. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Hi, what do you call your listeners?
Cherished loves.
I cherish loves. I love that. My name is Bridgette Waugh. Recently name changed. I just got married in April of this year to the love of my life, so I'm excited about that. I am a storyteller, if you will, a person that likes to share other people's stories, including my own. I have been in the business of PR since 2002, so over 23 years I have been in this industry, and I've seen it change a lot, but we'll get into that. I love what I do. I went to Texas Women's University in Denton. I am a military child. I was born in Meat, Louisiana. However, as soon as I was born, my dad got his tour, and I spent the first 9 months of my life in New Mexico, and then 5 years after that in Kaiserslautern, Germany. And I used to speak fluent French and German. More French now than German because German is a little bit harder, than French to maintain. And then lived there, like I said, about 5 years. We moved back to the States, and I think I was 11, 12 years old, and my parents divorced, and we moved to Beaumont, Texas. So that's it's traveling all over the world, being very well traveled and well versed in languages and different cultures. We moved to Beaumont, Texas, which, was a culture shock for me. However, it was fine in the end because it shaped me into the person that I am today. And then I came to Houston after doing a couple of semesters at Texas Women's University because I was like, I can't do this Beaumont thing anymore. I want to move somewhere else. And so I did. I moved to Houston by way of the man who's my husband now. We dated back in high school, so there's a little tea for you. And then just kind of settled in and have been here ever since and just growing my business. I do have one son. Been married before, so this is my second marriage, but hey, it's all good.
She is the woman with an absolute heart of gold. You had that calling to come to, as they say, the big city, and you followed that. Tell us a little bit more about how your journey brought you to the world of PR.
So my son hates this story, but it's because of him. He was 4 years old, and at the time, I had just started working at a radio station here in Houston that was brand new, and I was, planning a full wedding and building a house at the same time. And because of the new job, it's a new station, if you will, so we were there 8 a.m. in the morning and then sometimes 10, 12 o'clock at night. So I was the first person to arrive, the last person to leave. You have to understand having a toddler or 4-year-old, he's used to certain things. And then all of a sudden, he doesn't see me. He would either see me in the morning, but wouldn't see me at night because I would get home so late, or he wouldn't see me at all because I'm gone before he wakes up and then I'm not home, started having tantrums because he's 4, he doesn't know how to express himself and what he's feeling. Then children are very smart, so I leave work, calm him down so he sees me, and then it's like he same thing happens, "Oh, okay, let me just have a tantrum." Then my mom will come. So, uh, as we were in the building the house process, there was a lot going on, and so they were like, "Well, she didn't call in, she's a no call, no show," and I'm giving you the USA Today version. So they wanted to write me up, and I was like, "I'm not signing that. You're the first person here, last one to leave. You're my personal life, my son, da da da." Da." And then I realized in that moment, I said, "What if I died tomorrow? They can replace me, but my son will no longer have his mother." And at the time, I just made a decision, and I said, "Nope, I'm done. My family comes first." Because too many times we get caught up in corporate America where the CEO or the president or managers, anyone above you, it's like their children, their families come first and yours does not. And so I said, well, that's not happening. So I went in my office and I wrote my resignation letter and I signed that and I said, here, I signed this. And they thought I was joking. It's like, okay, okay, let cooler heads prevail. He tore up the write up or whatever. But I had made up my mind and he was like, you can't quit. You just bought a house. This man literally looked at me and said that. And I said, the same way we bought this house is the same way God will provide. I was looking for this job and God will provide enough. And he's like, well, everyone has faith, but this you're just being unrealistic and you're making an emotional decision. Oh no, I'm making a decision for my child. I choose him and I choose myself. So anyway, and that's how I got into PR. A friend of mine called me probably 2 weeks later and stated that she needed a publicist. She was starting a new company, and I wrote a press release. I got her on a community affairs show, a television show, and I wrote an article for her. And then she took me to lunch. She handed me a check for $100 and said, "You are now my publicist." I took that $100, got my DBA, opened up a bank account. DBAs are free. No, not DBAs. DBAs aren't free, but I got my Dun and Bradstreet number, my tax ID number, got my DBA, opened up a business account, and the rest, as I say, is her story, not his story, her story. That's how I got started.
Love your story for so many reasons. One of which being the power of your faith. The fact that this man had the audacity, because it took a lot of audacity for him to say to you, "Oh, you're just being unrealistic. You're just being emotional," as they love to call us ladies, and really think that he had this power over you and your life, and that he could force you by your circumstances to stay in a toxic situation. And I loved how you showed him, I can show you better than I can tell you. Watch me work. And I think that is, yes, I think that is just so incredible. And even beyond that, the fact that as a mother, you stood on business, okay? You said, "Look, my son, my family comes first. I am sorry, good sir." And may every woman out there listening have that moment of courage where you are able to stand up for yourself and for your family and honestly for what's right. We've all been in those situations where we felt like we've been forced to choose between work and our personal lives, and it's never a comfortable situation. And although it may not always be possible for you to fully leave on faith and just leave that job behind. Hopefully, this gives you motivation that it may be more possible and realistic than you think. I know even for myself and in my own personal story, I had to have that moment too. I left a toxic situation with a job and didn't have a single client. Did not have a single client, but I prayed on it and the Lord said, "Look, you've been successful with this job and you think that was because of you? No, babe. That was because of me. And when you leave this job, I'm leaving with you." And when I tell you by the end of that 2-week notice, I had my schedule booked. Within 30 days, I had replaced my income that I had before. And in 45 days, I had excelled beyond my income. So it's
That's
possible. It is definitely possible, but it does take making that leap of faith. And that was years ago that I made that decision, and I've been full-time ever since, as you have. And I know in your time within the PR world, you have seen many changes. And one thing that you talk about is reinventing yourself and keeping your business relevant. And I would like you to share a little bit of wisdom with our audience on that about how they can rejuvenate, reinvent either their personal brands or their business brands.
I think they should do both, to be very honest, because your personal brand is an extension of your business, but then your business brand is something totally different. It depends on what you do because they can be one and the same or they can be totally different. So I try to have my clients kind of separate them if they can. Because, like I said, I love fashion and publicity is what I do. But fashion I love, but that's not who I am, if you will. This is just something that I do, something that I love to do. And so I feel like people should rebrand themselves personally every 2 years, business wise, every 5 years. And the reason why I say that is because as the industry changes, you should really keep up with the trends because it takes 5 years to establish your business. And you want to make sure that you have your target audience, that your marketing, your PR, your advertising, your brand is in place so that the people can trust you. If you're switching, you're all over the place, no one's going to trust you because you're not consistent. And so with your brand, consistency is key. However, now that you have the trust of the public, and you looking at the trends, okay, how can we pivot? How can we shift? Always look at the trends. Keep customer service key first, depending upon what you do, or your service or your product based industry, but customer service goes in everything that we do. And so as you are looking at things, automation, but make sure you still have that human touch to what you're doing and then kind of see how things are going. It's like, okay, well, how can I stay competitive? That's why I say every 5 years for a business, because you want to stay competitive. You want to also, like I said, build those first 5 years, set that foundation like building a house. There's your foundation. 5 years, you're known for this. People have seen you. The public resonates with you as such. Now you can say, now that you have your loyal market, now you can say, hey, we're making these particular changes for the better. And always make sure that you're rebranding for the better of your company and how you service your clients or the public. Personally, I say you should update every 2 years. And this is why. As women, we change our hair, we lose weight, we gain weight, we have babies. So we're constantly changing and your style changes. You may not
Right.
like wearing 6-inch heels anymore. You may want to go to flats now, or you may, want to do this, or you just had a baby. And so it's hard for you. You're trying to find where you are with your body and with, your mind and the schedule that you have. And so something that I cannot stand that people do, and this is a pet peeve of mine as a publicist and person, you send out a picture that you took 10 years ago. Don't look like that anymore. You're you know, you've either lost weight or you gained weight or your hair is different. It needs to be updated, at least to the most recent picture of who you are. So when you walk into a room and you're representing this business and they're looking at your profile or your biography or whatever, and say you're at a speaking engagement and they passed out these, leaflets or flyers or whatever with your information, and it's a picture of you from 10 years ago. You don't look like that. So now people are confused, like, well, wait a minute, is this? It doesn't match. And what that does that people don't think about is that automatically in our minds, we automatically say they're not trustworthy. You couldn't even send me a most recent picture of you. And let me say this for ladies to relate just a little bit better. How many times, if you are on a dating app and a guy puts a picture up and it's a picture of him from 5 years ago, and he may be a little chubby or something like that, you feel like you have been catfished because that's
Yeah.
not the person who's on the profile. And women do it too on these dating apps. Ladies,
Mhm.
stop putting up pictures of you when you felt like you were your best self. Present
Yeah.
your best self. Find something about yourself that you love. You love your hair, then go with the hair. Magnify that part. You have a beautiful face. Magnify your face. You have a great figure. Magnify your figure. Just saying that something about you will outshine that and highlight that. But don't put a 10-year-old picture out there. So that's my take on it.
Did you guys hear that? Stop being professional catfishers. Okay. I laugh when she said that part. I don't know if it is just a pet peeve, especially when you're in the marketing world, but that is very much so a thing. Whenever someone sends you a picture and you're like, stop playing. That is not, no. Why? Just why? And I get the reason why, because as you said, people want to they think that they're putting their best foot forward because they're sending the picture when they felt their best. But it really does come across as a trust issue. You have to think how you would feel on the receiving end. People need to know who you are now. And I also chuckled a little bit more than a little inside when you said, even about heels, I used to be the queen of heels. But along with becoming an entrepreneur, I get to be at home, okay? And I can promise you, I am not walking around this house with my puppies running around everywhere in any heels. And when you stop wearing heels, your feet forget it. Like you forget that you trained your feet to operate in those heels and how the pain just never meant anything. And at this point, I have learned how to style a pair of tennis shoes, baby. I used to not own any. Now I've got several because I have to be realistic about this season in life. And that's how people need to see you. And for me, I'm not gonna lie, I struggled with it because I've been wearing heels since middle school. Okay. I was that, yes, you would have sworn I was going to somebody's corporate office in middle school. I'm talking suits, everything. Like I was extra. Right. So it took a bit for me to let that side go. And then I had to just realize when you get to the point where you're questioning, am I going to go to this event because you're already calculating the number of hours that you would have to sit in those heels?
LaShay,
But
you're too young to have those thoughts.
look, but I do. And they are intrusive as all get out. Okay. Um,
That's hilarious. Well, I'm in
re-
heels for all day 'cause I have a very high arch, so I just
yeah,
prefer
I thought I did too till I was barefoot pretty much for the last
well, I try
years.
to wear heels every day, even when I go in the grocery store. So if you ever see me out in the grocery store, I will have on heels. Just know that.
Yes, you have to be realistic about like where you are in life and put that forward. Don't let anything stop you, especially yourself. I find with most entrepreneurs that they are their own biggest enemy. They
Yeah.
really are. The way that they talk to themselves. And even in that moment when you're sending this picture, that looks because now so this is another pet peeve because AI is a thing, you guys. And just because you can do it,
Don't
just because you can create a picture and it looks like it is not you, baby. Stop doing that. Stop doing that, you guys. I mean, it would have to be a really good fake. Like your body shape has to be the same. It's one thing for the face to be something, but if you are 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds heavier than what that AI picture looks like, again, that's a trust thing. And I've even seen it on guys. You've got this AI generated picture with a whole six pack and arms and whatever you call the shoulder situation. And I mean, then the
right.
person put up and you're like, okay, so like this is and you don't want when you are there with something to say, when you are there to share your God-given gift that can help somebody in the audience, you don't want anything distracting that message. You don't want anything distracting your ability to connect with the people who are in front of you and the people that God wanted you to be in that room to connect. If you show up with however that you got there, if it does not look like the person who shows up, I mean, having your hair done and fully doing your makeup, like that's one thing. But you guys know what we're talking about filter face pictures versus reality, like what we're saying. And when you see that, you're the whole time, all you can think about is like, what is going on here? This is not the person that I expected to see. This is not, and your message is getting lost. So it is a bigger thing than you think. It's not small, it's not light. You don't get a second chance at a first impression, and you don't want your first impression with the person to be, okay, this person is even on the lightest side. a person is going to feel that you're not comfortable in your skin. That's what it says. That on the lightest side, the hardest impression that a person is going to have is that you're not trustworthy. Right. So why would we want to even put ourselves in those situations? That wasn't even kind of where I was going to go, but you said it and I was like spot on because amen and hallelujah.
Yep.
So
Realize how, uh, important that is. It may be a small thing to them, but it's
mhm,
a lot in your business.
it's a big thing. And another thing too that I find, because there sometimes it even goes a little bit deeper. Sometimes we have people who are literally changing the way that they look, making skin lighter, doing all the things. And to that, I say, don't let the world determine your standard of what beauty is. God made you amazingly you, and there is only one you on this earth. And we have to get to this place where we love ourselves. I know it is one of those things that is easier said than done. I myself am much heavier than I was 5 years ago. And it's like, if you don't like it to that extreme point, then do something about it, right? And if you're not going to go to the gym, you're not going to do that. Don't look for the easy way out. Sit in that. Take some time, really reflect on that, and learn to love yourself in the season and the place where you're at. And that includes the color of your skin. And I can say, even for myself, when I first went into full time entrepreneurship, I struggled a little bit in the beginning so I can relate to a certain extent of what people do. For me, I used to not put my face on things because in corporate America, being young and black and a woman is like a triple negative. You're by birth considered unprofessional, right? Like you're always trying to work harder, strive more so that my work can speak louder than whatever perception you may have by me being young, black, and a woman. And after being conditioned in corporate America with that for so long, I didn't even realize how deep into my psyche that it had really stuck. When it came to, designing different images and things for my business, and I would always have that pause of should I put the picture up? Should I not put the picture up? And it was one of those like moments where God just kind of like whispered in my ear that no, I made you to say something. People need to know where this voice is coming from. And I had this epiphany moment where it was like, if someone looks at me and they say, I don't want to work with this person because of the way that they look, why on God's green earth would you want to work with them? Right? Like, really think about that. In what world are we aligned? Right? That is going to be a nightmare client. If you feel as though you don't want to work with the person with this skin tone, if you feel as though you don't want to work with a person with this hair texture or of this age group, you are going to make my life miserable as a client, right? We shouldn't be okay with having to conform ourselves as we were God ordained and created to someone else as someone else standard or even the world standard. So do consider that because that is what we mean when we're talking about alignment. All these things kind of go together. You want to attract the person who sees that picture and says, yes, I connect with her. For whatever reason, for whatever that reason is, I connect with her. And that's what I found when I did my first webinar and I put my picture up. I was talking to a few of the students and they said, I showed up because I saw your picture on there and I knew you were going to understand and explain things in a different perspective that I wanted to hear. And that was just so confirming for me. And speaking of alignment and clients, as the queen of PR, I would like for you to share with our audience a little bit more about how you go about attracting those aligned clients and what type of marketing techniques that you use.
So I'll be honest, when I first started back in 2002, I took everybody and everything. But I needed to do that so it could show me what I wanted, what I didn't want, who to work with, and who not to work with. And so to be quite honest with you, I don't really do anything I'm on all the social media. So I'm on all the socials. And I try to be very consistent with my content. My Instagram is the fashionable publicist. However, I tend to highlight certain things on certain platforms, if you will. So, like on LinkedIn, if I've booked an interview for my client or myself or something like that, I'll put it on LinkedIn just so people can see the work consistency. And then on Instagram, I have a tendency to create reels of my clients doing the interviews, behind the scenes, stuff like that. And then on Facebook, I post the actual interview. So so I have different ways, and then sometimes I'll put it on, Instagram as well. I'll screen record the interview and put it out there. So that's kind of my way of marketing, and then I'm a brand myself, and so a lot of people see me in public. I'm on, one of the stations here regularly, and so people will say, "Oh, I saw you." So I'm like, "Oh, okay." And, just last night, I was on, and there was another lady who was a guest, and she was like, "Oh, I've been meaning to reach out to you." And I'm looking around, "Me?" She's like, "Yes." She said, "You do PR, right?" And I was like, "Yes." She said, "Yeah." She said, "I'll, then DM you or send you a message," because she was looking and she didn't have any more cards, and then they were calling us back into the station. But I was a little taken aback by that because I was like, "Wow." Because I've just recently continued to be consistent in posting, and I get on my clients, or I'll do it for them with posting on social media consistently. But then when it comes to me, it's hit or miss. I might post here, then I won't post anything for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So I've really been more intentional about posting things that I do and that I've done. Because like you were saying earlier, Lachey, was that like you didn't want to put your face on anything. And for me, it's like, I don't wanna come off braggadocious, I don't wanna seem like I'm doing too much, and so there are a lot of places I have so much content in my phone, it's ridiculous. And I had just made up my mind, I said, "You know what? I'm gonna post this stuff anyway because it's great content." But there was this I don't know, I guess because you try to be a humble person and not be braggadocious, there's this thing of, "Well, they don't need to know that," or even if it was just a picture with someone. um, that was famous or a celebrity or something like that. It's just in my phone. It's not for anybody to share. However, for the industry that we're in, showing what we're doing, who we're around consistently, people like that. And it shows like, oh, okay, well, she was in this room. Oh, she knows this person. Oh, she has a picture with this person. Doesn't matter if I know them or not. How did she get in the room to take a
Right.
picture with that person? So it's like clout, if you will. So,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of like, because I want to enjoy the moment and be in the moment, and then I'll look through my phone, and it's like, oh man, I didn't post this. Dang it! So now, like, is it too late to post? And so I was posting something and I was like, "Sorry for the late post." And this gentleman said, "Don't ever say that. It's never a late post. You're always posting information." And I took it and I was like, "Well, that's good." So it doesn't matter when it was unless you date it.
Yes.
People
Yes.
see if it was this time or this time or this time. And even if it was, like, I'm getting ready to post something that happened in February. And I will tag the people, the event that I attended. Doesn't matter the fact that I've still posted it, they'll appreciate it. They may say something like, "Wow, you just posted this," but for the organization, they probably won't. So it's just letting people know where I am and what I do. I've been to events where people have said, "Oh my gosh, you're here? I'm in the right place." And I'm like, "Okay." And at first, I didn't really know how to take that, but then I realized that people appreciate my, my character, the person that I am, and that they know that I will not align myself with certain things or certain situations. And so it's like, oh, okay, she's consistent. She's been in business for 20 years. And so if she's here, I'm in the right place because this is legit. Because I know she's done her research or she aligns with, a certain caliber.
I love that. And I'm so glad that you brought up that point that no one knows how old it is. I am like you in that regard that I like to be in the moment. I like to enjoy what's going on here, and I deal with that same battle of not wanting to give into the vanity of it all and really just enjoy who I'm sitting across. And yeah, same of a phone with a bunch of moments that you're like, oh, well, because I also have a rule that I usually don't like to post in the moment just for safety reasons. And then a couple days go by, turns into a week, turns into a I forget until you're going back and you're like, "Oh, wow, that's a pretty good year." But social would never know. Social would never know at all. And I mean, I'm with you 1000% because I actually took a year hiatus off of social media.
Yeah.
Not really necessarily because of the negativity of social media, but because of the joy of life, right? And just in really enjoying my life journey and just yeah, doing the things that I'm most passionate about and leaving my phone behind. It was hard at first, but then it just became kind of like second nature. And now I have the opposite problem where I never know when my never know where my phone is. 'Cause I'm so used, to that, and I love that you brought that up, that even as a publicist, right, you have to be conscious of it, right? You have to make an actual effort because a lot of times I deal with entrepreneurs that are just like, I don't like social media. I don't want to be the person in the corner taking the selfie. I just don't like that. And it's not really about that, right? That makes you even better at social media. We shouldn't strive to be social content consumers. We want to be content creators, right? And to be a creator means that you are creating the visuals that you want to put out there in the world. It is a structured story that you're telling with your profiles. You shouldn't just be posting just for the heck of it every 2 seconds, selfie in the elevator, selfie in the car, selfie at the grocery store, right? That's not what we're talking about here. You want to be intentional, as she said. She's intentional about the way she shows up on LinkedIn. And that's very different than how she shows up on Instagram, and it's different than how she shows up on Facebook. Each of these platforms are used in different ways by their consumers, and you need to speak to that. It's not about being omnipresent and showing up everywhere all the time. That's not what it's about. What God has for you, He has for you. Okay. You just have to put yourself out there. You don't need to post every single day. You just need for the post that you put out there to get to the people that it needs to. It's really just that simple. And in your purpose in doing it, it can't just be because I'm trying to go viral, because that has been such commonplace in what everyone wants. I've even had conversations with my grandparents about how funny my dogs are and how they need to be on social because, for one, they are really hilarious. Let me just tell you, they are characters. Okay. But it's like, know the purpose that you're using it for. When we're talking about business, its purpose should be to further and help your business. So show up when you have something to say. Don't be afraid if that post or that image is from a year ago. As long as you, like she spoke about before, we're looking somewhat similar to what we look like in the picture, right? And even if it's not, that's still a story to tell. You can still reminisce on those moments. I am the family hoarder of all photos. I go down memory lane at least once a year, every couple of months, right? I'm looking at old photos and thinking about, remember this day and remember when we did this, and we all enjoy that. How often does Facebook remind us this is what you were doing a year ago, 2 years ago, right? Why would this company show you that type of information? Because that's what people like, right? It shows us that for a reason. They spend a lot of money on doing research into the psychological driving forces between buying decisions and what will hold people's attentions more. Why not use some of that research that they're doing and implement it in your own business? So let's make 2025 going into the second half the year that we stop being afraid to put ourselves out there. We stop second guessing ourselves about content, and we just put it out there because we do have stories to tell. And we have an amazing woman here who loves storytelling and is the queen of storytelling, I would say. So Tell us a little bit more or give the audience a little bit of advice about kind of how to curate their story to put out there.
So hire focuses me. But if you can't, well, I don't want to say you can't afford because, like, I think it was Henry Ford says, if you believe you can or cannot, it's true. So if you say I can't afford, your services, whether that's those are my services or LaShay services, you've already discounted yourself. Um, People like LaShay and myself, we make sure that there are different ways to help people and get your story out there. But like we were just talking about, don't think you can't afford it. Use social media to tell your story. If you have a website, create a blog to where you can talk about your business, your product, or service that you have. And you don't necessarily have to write it. You can have someone on your team write it for you if they know your voice. Or, and this is where AI comes in, you can put it in there and train AI to be you, train AI for your voice, put in the information and say, can you create a blog around this? This is what I do in my business. These are my thoughts, yada, yada, yada. Ta-da, there it is. And post it on your blog and be consistent. Um, and then when you're ready, you kind of build yourself up a little bit, then you're ready to hire a publicist or a marketing person, which I just want to put in there that marketing and PR and advertising are different. They
Yes,
work
they are.
together, they go hand in hand, but they're different. So just want to put that out there. Then, like I said, do social media, create a blog, or you can do what is that on Instagram? Is it Instagram Live? You can go live,
Mm, yeah. Instagram Live and Instagram TV.
Instagram TV or Facebook Live, and talk to your community and meet them there. But the key is to be consistent. Put it out there. There's Canva. You can create flyers that pretty much are done. You just, plug in your picture or you can find something that's already created and advertise yourself for a webinar or for your Instagram Live and find another entrepreneur that doing some amazing things and interview them and or just get on there and create a live to have people come on and ask questions about what you're doing. So there are many ways. Technology is too vast and too great for you not to be able to get yourself out there. Now with interviews and stuff like that, that's a little different because although the media is always looking for content, make sure that you just be you. If you don't want to hire a and trust me, I'm not trying to take anything from myself. However, if you want to write a press release for yourself, then send it to the media yourself. You'd be surprised. But please research how to write a press release because there's a difference in writing a bio and writing a press release. There's a lot of research out there on how to write a press release, how to formulate the press release. And if you feel like you want to do it yourself. And then you'll get the phone call and book your interview, and there you are. And another tip I'll give that I do with my clients, check out your local community papers. They're
Mm,
always looking for content. And if you're an expert in your field, call them up and say, hey, I have an interesting story, or I do XYZ. I'd love to contribute an article to your paper once a month. And it could
I
because
love
it could be a weekly paper or, a monthly paper, but you tell them, "Once a month, I would like to contribute an article." And they don't have to pay you, that's great for them. And it's a way for you to get your voice out there, to kinda build your brand, to kinda let people know where you are, who you are, and what you do. And they do pay writers, but you just wanna get it out there. And if you offer that and you're not looking for payment, I just wanna brand myself. I just want my voice to be there, and then there you go. And a lot of times they will be open to that. I don't know about, I don't know where you're listening, but like we have the Houston Chronicle and not so much because the Houston Chronicle is more of a professional newspaper. However, you can reach out to the journalist. Usually all of their email addresses are on chron.com and you can look on there. They have like neighborhood stories and you can pitch your story to them or if you have a business story, to the business section. So there are different ways that, you can put yourself out there. But one of the things that's the easiest and the cheapest is social media, writing a blog on your website, and becoming a contributor to your more smaller newspapers. And when I say small, I'm just saying like for us, Houston Chronicle is like the major paper. But then, if you are African American, look and see what publications that cater to that. If you are Jewish descent or Christian, or if you're in the medical field, look for health journals and health articles that you can contribute to as well. It's just all about getting your voice heard because of the information that you have, and you wanna tell the story behind your business, your product, or your service.
You guys, I just, feel like everyone watching this episode needs to have a pen and a paper and be writing things down because she is giving gold. That's that's incredible. And so much to unpack there. So first off, I want to say she's 1,000% right about when we think about our businesses. If we say we can't afford something, then you're right. That it's just that simple. We have to change our mindset about things. And one of the biggest reasons is because if you've never sought that service or sought help in that area, how do you know? Right? Most of us are so creative in the way that we put together packages to help our clients. You would be surprised. Additionally, we live in a global world. There are so many things that you can outsource, aspects that you can outsource. If creating graphics is not your strong suit, outsource it. You never know how much that's gonna cost, and I promise you, it's usually not quite what you think it would be. And there are different ways that you can work with professionals like Bridgie or myself in this industry. It's not just about having us do the work, even though we're phenomenal at it. You could also have us give you consultations, give you direction specific to what it is that you sell, what it is that you are trying to build. And Brigitte, I know that's something that you offer as well. So I'd like for you to go a little bit more into that and what that looks like when you consult with someone and can combination with answering the question of what does a PR strategist do? Because there are so many misconceptions about it. A lot of times I hear from people, "Well, yeah, press release, right? Like just the press release," but there's so much more to that. Or thinking that me as a marketer, I'm the press release person, and as you mentioned, we are cousins. We are not twins. So tell the audience a little bit more about that.
So, when you first reach out to me, we have a scheduled meeting and to see what your needs are. And if you say, well, I'm not ready for this, then right now I am running a special for a strategy session for 1 full hour, for 249. So I'll make sure that's on my website if you choose to take advantage of that. And my strategy sessions, like LaShay just said, have a pen and a paper or be at your laptop or have Otter or whoever you use to take notes because I don't gatekeep. I sit there and we do the entire plan for your business, your product, or your service. And I'm good at what I do. And so when I have these strategy sessions with you, you will walk away with something. And I can guarantee you that after you do that, because people may want to do it on their own. Okay, on their own. So, okay, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to do it. And what I find most of the time is that sometimes people just want to see how credible you are, or if what you're talking about, or if you align with their vision. And I love it. So I get what I call downloads, and it's a gift. And all of a sudden, I see your entire plan on how to, market you or put you out there, brand you, if you will. And yes, I have to sometimes market, outsource, or I have someone within my team to do it, but we come up with your whole strategy plan in a 1 hour session. And it's paying for my time and my information and my expertise. That's just what it is. And some people can afford 249, but like I said, if you feel like you can or cannot, you're absolutely right. Um, and the other part of your question, what did you say, Michelle? I'm sorry.
The other part was what exactly does a PR firm do?
Oh,
because a lot of people don't really know a whole lot, myself included, honestly, past, the press release aspect of it, because there's so much more to that.
yes. So there is so much more to just writing a
Mhm.
press release and putting it out there. The number one thing that I always tell people, first of all, public relations is just what it says. It's how the public relates to you, your business, or your product. Most simplest, watered down version of PR that it is. Very simplistic. However, something that I have that you don't have are relationships. So the relationships is gold. That's my goal because I'm a member of the National Association of Black Journalists. I sit on the board for the Houston Association of Black Journalists. And so that right there is gold because I have access to journalists like real access here. You know what I'm saying? Or I have a list, or I've met someone, or I can just say, "Hey, I see you're a member of the National Association of Black Journalists. I have a client that's going to be in Cincinnati, just throwing out something. I know you guys have a morning show. If I send you the press release, how, do you think this is a topic you guys want to discuss? Because I did research and I noticed that such and such things is there. They're an expert in this area and they can talk about this. Then I get a response back. Oh yeah, hey, yeah, I remember seeing you at the da 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 da. It's about building relationships because we
Right.
have our conference every year. Oh yes, I remember meeting you at the conference. Absolutely, we would love to have your client on. When will they be here? Can they be at the station at this time? And then there you go. So now I have that feather in my cap because I have these relationships. Before we started, I was telling LaShay, there are producers that I can just call first
Right.
and say, "Hey, I have a client that's about to, oh, send me the information." "Oh, yes, absolutely." And I don't have to send the press release first. That's relationships. And that's something that I'm very, excited about and happy about and proud of because I have nurtured those relationships and I've been intentional about those relationships. So as a PR person, our job is to get what you do out there so other people can talk about it. That's what PR is. That's what we do. So I tell your story and then I tell it to Channel 2, 11, 13, Radio 1, iHeartRadio, the Houston Chronicle, whoever a media outlet is, our podcast. Let me not forget about that.
Yeah.
And we pitch you and we put you out there so that you have a platform to tell your story to people so that you can be relatable. And I also say I'm an information specialist because I have information that you don't have. And so we do the research. That's another thing that we do as publicists because we have to research. What are they saying about this? Okay, what month is this? Oh, well, that lines up with my client. And I start out, hey, did you know it was da 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 month? So we take that time and energy to contact our relationships and say, hey, this is what my client is doing. I would love for them to come on and talk about XYZ. We also handle your branding. That could be through social media. And I just want to say this. If you send me your picture and your bio, I'm going to check it because I will rewrite it if it's not flowing the way it should, or if it's too long. And if your picture is older, then I'll give you 3 years. Or if I've just had a meeting with you and you don't look like that, my photographer and I will be at your studio, we'll be wherever, and we will do new headshots.
We're not even talking about this. You're getting a photo shoot. We're not going back and forth. Photo shoot is happening. I'm the same way.
Done across the board.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
when can you? I need you ready, face ready, hair, all of that. Be ready. And for men, I need you shaved, cut, whatever, suited and booted. We're doing this. Oh, I need
Yeah.
to come to your house. Okay, he'll bring all his equipment. I had a photographer meet me at a client's home and he had his big backdrop and everything. And we got the pictures that we needed. Pictures on your cell phone are not professional pictures. And I get it. iPhones take amazing pictures. Certain Androids take amazing pictures, but you need professional pictures that only a photographer can take and get. And you need to have different shots. That's why they call them professional headshots. It is what it
Yeah.
is. Invest that
Yeah.
money, get those headshots done. But that's what we do. We make sure that you look good. And another thing that PR does, what I do, is crisis management. Meaning, I create a crisis management plan for every client. I don't care what they're doing because just in case scenarios. So you have a product, just in case someone says it didn't work, or just in case their skin broke out. You have someone in place who's going to talk about it in the press. We put out the press release. It's unfortunate, da 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 da. This is what my client has done to rectify the moment. Or if someone does tell non truths or fake news. So you have to be very careful. And a lot of people don't think that they need a crisis management plan, but that comes with, your retainer. So I just create that for all clients. And everything that I've done is because I've experienced something else. And so I always make sure I have a crisis management plan. We also do, well, I do the media training with my clients because I'm a whole brand and I'm not going to have you on any of these media outlets looking crazy. Just not. So we make sure that you're prepared for media. That stems from what you wear, making sure your hair and makeup are good, and you get talking points. Because there's nothing worse than you on an interview and you're like this. And the interviewer is asking you something and you're like, um, uh,
Yes.
television, that's called dead air, and on radio, that's dead air, and that can be a killer. And so
So you guys, don't let your fears of public speaking stop you. So if you're watching this and you're like, it sounds great, but I could never show up on a podcast or I could never be on a television show. You weren't born knowing how to drive, but yet you get from point A to point B quite easily, don't you? Right? So it's not about being born with the talent and being made for the camera. You can work with an incredible professional like Brigitte and receive the training you need in order to show up that way or show up as your best self, as we're just talking about. And as you were talking, there was something that came up in my spirit also. You were talking about crisis management. And that is also one of the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast, because a lot of times when we get on social media, we don't see the other side of entrepreneurship that is not lights, camera, and action. So, tell us a little bit more about how you get through those difficult times.
through crisis management times.
Well, for your business as an entrepreneur, right? When times are hard and you are over the client, over the work, wondering why you ever gave up that 9 to 5 job to work 24/7, those moments.
First of all, let me say this. I have never looked back to corporate America. That's one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. And when you're having a tough time with a client, if you will, everyone has different personalities. And let me say this, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you got to be just a little bit crazy because we don't work 24/7, we work 25/8. Always working, but you have to find that work-life balance even as an entrepreneur. Put some parameters in place, set some boundaries. I don't know, I may be aging myself, but that movie, The Five Heartbeats, I think it is.
Oh, I love that movie. So I guess I'm aging myself too. That movie is awesome.
Goes with the guy, he says, "Now what are my hours? 9 to 5." Exactly. So my hours are from 9. That's when I'll talk to you, that's when you can reach me or whatever. And like you were saying earlier, if it's after those hours, I do this. I see the message. I see,
Mhm.
but it's 10 o'clock at night. What do you want me to do?
Put
So
that phone right down.
exactly.
Mhm.
So I see it, I got it, I'll respond to it in the morning. And, it's just about so like I like to work out in the morning, I meditate, I pray, so that keeps me centered and discussing earlier, and I didn't get a chance to do that this morning. So I think that's why I was a little agitated also because I didn't get centered this morning. But and then also have my husband to vent to as well. And sometimes if it's really that bad, I'll type out the email and then I'll go, okay, backspace, 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 get it out, and then
Get
it's
it
done.
out.
And or I will take a break and look at something that will make me laugh or change my energy. I'll change my atmosphere or something just so it doesn't come out towards the client because as an entrepreneur, we cannot afford to be subjective, meaning emotional. You have to be objective and look at it because it's a business. It's business,
Yeah.
it's not personal. And that's the thing. Don't take it personal. You have to remember that. Sometimes we're human. Sometimes it's easier than other times. But those are the things. That's how I handle situations.
Yes, guys. So just know you're not alone in this entrepreneurship thing. We all have our highs, we all have our lows, but it is so incredibly worth it, Bridget. I could talk to you for hours. I know I can because I feel like I've known you for a lifetime, and that still would not be enough. You have shared so much great value to my audience. I thank you for joining us here today. She Bridges PR is doing incredible things in the entrepreneurial community and just the Houston community. I love watching you do what you do, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the future. To my audience who is watching right now, make sure you get her information from the show notes because you're going to want to have her in your back pocket, right? Whether you are ready to work with her today or it is down the line, you're going to remember this episode and you're going to need that information. And I will make sure that's available for you. And until next time, bye, my cherished loves.